God bless them. I don't. Because I've been made into someone as controversial as I'm not. They think I'm more controversial than I am. I guess that's a good thing, but I'm really not controversial. I'm a pragmatist and a realist. But the fact is that if I were to give seminars, you'd get idiots trying to disrupt me. Then I'd have to hire security guards to disrupt the disruptors. I don't need it. But I'm tempted anyway because I like people well enough to want to sit with a group of people, as I saw in the dream of the White Owl. Remember I told you that White Owl dream 2 months ago? I saw myself in a seminar room somewhere in a forested area. It was a sort of a modern room, and there were like 25, 30 people, and I was doing small seminars. Well, there it is. It's happening right now, but I'm doing large seminars on the Savage Nation. This is the forum. Here we are. You're sitting in that room. I'm sitting in that room with you. We're here to discuss a very important issue, and how the court will decide is their business. They're going to decide, not us. Unless you actually believe they listen to people. I don't know, do they? You think they do? I think they do. Michael on WMAL in Washington, D.C., welcome to the Savage Nation. What's on your mind?
Yes, Michael, I called in to discuss with you what happened to me as a psychologist who is a religious Jew. But I wanted to take up the mystical side, too, because you're dealing with it right now. There's such a concept as, it's called in Hebrew, Gevurah Shebechesed. What that means is that every trait that a person has to have some kind of discipline. If you let it express itself to the nth degree, it's only going to bring destruction. So, for example, we have a principle in Judaism which says, those who are merciful to the cruel will in the end be cruel to the merciful. That's what happened to me. I was a psychologist. And now I'm a recovered psychologist. I wanted to help people, and when people would walk in, if they had a problem, one man with his lover, I had to help them repair it, help them be even better at what they were doing, which in my mind was not a right, but which was an ill that needed to be healed. So to make a long story short, I ended up being forced to resign because I worked for the government, and I was told, Michael, when you work for us, you have to be ready to help all kinds of people.
All right, that's the Soviet way. That's what was done in Stalin's Russia. The government dictated to doctors how to practice medicine. That's exactly what's happening in America. We become the Soviet states of America. I understand that.
Well, that's why I'm saying those who are merciful to the cruel will in the end be cruel to the merciful. Because as much as you let this happen, letting it out of the closet, you force the decent people, the moral people, the religious people into the closet. They become marginalized. They become hated. Why? Because hedonism, which is at the root of what this debate is concerned with, means that if somebody says that they're going to help you to control yourself so you won't give in to your ego and let everything go, then they're seen as an enemy, and they need to be destroyed. And that's why we see in America now that there are 800 rabbis who signed on a paper going to the Supreme Court saying that we don't want you to cross this line, and you have pastors also doing the same thing. So really, we need to know that...
But you've never seen the gay community go after any Jews, have you?
Not yet, but we did.
No, they've only gone after the Catholic Church. They wrecked the Catholic Church to the point where the Catholic Church is hardly functional. And now we have an archbishop in San Francisco simply putting out the tenets of his own church, and they're calling him Hitler, basically.
Well, I have to counter that a little bit, because in the case of Nazi Germany, like Ernst Röhm and the SS, they were all chosen because of their cruel streaks that they had in them. In fact, in the concentration camps, those who had these cruel streaks oftentimes became commandants. And in the case of Ernst Röhm, they were especially looking for Jewish people because, like Hitler...
Well, what does the Ernst Röhm have to do with the Catholic Archbishop? I missed that link.
I'm talking about how Hitler said his war is with the Jews because they are the conscience of the...
Okay, but we're getting off track here. I don't understand what this has to do with gay marriage.
Well, gay marriage is really something that is cruel, not something which is out of love.
You're saying from the Jewish point of view, gay marriage is cruel?
Yes. Number one reason is because it's all selfish. It's all egotistical. It means that they want a momentary pleasure instead of self-sacrifice and as much as they would do with.
Well, how does that differ from how? Now, see, I don't know that I understand or agree with you. How do gay people wanting to live together, let's say, take the word marriage out of it, because it would give them pleasure, differ from straight people wanting to live together because it will give them pleasure? I don't follow that.
Because what straight people have is not a seeking of a momentary pleasure in a global sense. They want to do something which will continue the generations further, which is what God does when He says, "I bless those who with this with replenishing the earth and with causing people to inhabit it." Why? Because the more people who inhabit the world, the more they can give glory, respect, and honor to God and His commandments. When you have someone, be it an individual homosexual, or, and by the way, that's a Greek term that doesn't lend any more understanding of this. It doesn't help. It really obfuscates it. When you have somebody who does it, not by self-sacrifice, in order to bring children into the world, which is why which is also a misnomer, because there's only one kind of sex. It has to do with men and women. The others are deviations of it. So when a person is showing self-sacrifice by putting his own children...
All right, so you're giving us the Jewish biblical point of view, which totally opposes gay marriage, is what you're saying.
Right, and in the case of love...
Hold on. Now, what this will lead to is the burning of Bibles. In time, eventually, just as the Catholic Church was attacked, Bibles will be burned. Because the Bible is very clear in Genesis when it says, "And God created man in His own image. In the image of God created He him, male and female created He them. And God blessed them, and God said unto them, Be fruitful and multiply, and replenish the earth and subdue it." That can't be allowed in the new America, could it? Think about it. Back in a moment.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
Your Savage Nation is sponsored by SwissAmerica.com. It's the only company I trust for tangible assets, gold and silver. Call 800-BUICOIN. Go from the esoteric to the pragmatic, the Freddie Gray Baltimore thing. New headline: law enforcement sources say Freddie Gray suffered head injury in the police van, and that his head injury matches a bolt in the back of the van. Sources said the medical examiner found Gray's catastrophic injury was caused when he slammed into the back of the police transport van, apparently breaking his neck. And a head injury he sustained matches a bolt in the back of the van. So what does that tell you? Well, it tells you he wasn't constrained in his seat, and they stopped short, and he flew into the back of the van and died. It means that someone's culpable here. It doesn't mean that you burn a city to the ground. It means you go to court. That's what it means, idiots.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage. Warning: the Savage Nation contains adult language, adult content, psychological nudity. Listener discretion is advised. And now, America's most exciting radio talk show, The Savage Nation, home of unprotected talk, borders, language, culture. And here he is, Michael Savage.
Hour number 3 of The Savage Nation. We continue our discussion of gay marriage. Lots of calls. People have strong opinions on both sides of this issue. And a new report came out on the incident in Baltimore with the man Freddie Gray. He did not get injured in the scuffle with the police, but it said that he died after his head slammed into a bolt in the police van. New information on Gray death. His fatal spinal cord injuries were caused during the arrest? No. Nope. No evidence caused during the arrest. Not injured by the police during the arrest. But new information says the catastrophic injury was caused when he slammed into the back of the police transport van, apparently breaking his neck, and that a head injury he sustained matches a bolt in the back of the van. Now, no one knows what caused Gray to slam into the back of the van. It's unclear whether it was voluntary or whether it was a result of some other action, such as the driver lurching the car and bringing it to an abrupt halt to injure him, as the rioters would have you believe. I don't know. I don't know we'll ever know. All I know is that burning a city to the ground to rob 6 rolls of toilet paper and a bottle of booze makes no sense to me whatsoever. But let's go to the callers on the issue of the day, which is the Supreme Court talking about gay marriage. Let's go to WABC in New York. Rich, you've been holding a while. Go ahead, please make your point.
I love your show. We're about the same age. Our views and thoughts about the thing, which I'll keep off the air at this point, are pretty much the same. But as far as the subject of gay marriage itself goes, I don't believe it should be permitted. I believe that people that are gay should have every single right that a married couple should have. But to stop this thing of the marriage, for the simple reason, I don't think it's about the marriage. I think it's about acceptance. No religious backgrounds or anything like that. It's about acceptance. If only we could get married, we would feel whole. If only we could come out of the closet, we would feel whole. If only we could have a parade in the middle of the city and state our pride, we would feel whole. If you keep going, they will keep going too, because they're never going to feel whole. There'll always be a segment of society that permits what they do. They're open to it, but they don't condone it personally. And that's what they want. They want universal acceptance of everybody. So hopefully within their own psyche, they can feel they accept it. Because to me, if you're a self-actualized human being, and whether you like women or men or whatever, you don't need to get married or, as long as you can live together in peace and be left alone by people, what difference does it make what other people think? But
all right, you make your point. I think that most people would agree with you. Not all. Some will say no. We're humans. We're entitled to all of the legal protections that straight people have.
The only thing I think is bad about it, from my own personal thing, which I said I wouldn't get into, is that I think it does a disservice to the children. Because
that's what I said from the beginning. It confuses children.
I think exactly.
So you agree with me that it's about the children. It's always about the children, isn't it?
I mean, that's what life is about here. I mean, we're not going to live forever. It's about our posterity.
All right, so if you take a 5-year-old or a 6-year-old child and you see 2 men getting married on a whatever, walking down the aisle, what does it say to a 5-year-old child?
It opens up a part of their psyche.
The child may say, Mommy, can I marry Bobby, my best friend? Because children are not sexualized at 5 or 6. And usually boys like boys and girls like girls. So if they see a thing like this, they figure it's perfectly normal for the boy to marry his friend.
That's right. Yep.
Or so it's confusing for the child. I mean, it's common sense.
Exactly. That's it in a nutshell. It is.
Whatever happened to common sense? Do we not care about society as a whole? Do we not care about the next generation? Do we not care about the health of a society? Now the gay argument be, yes, we do. We care about all those things, and we're entitled to health too and happiness. And to get their health and happiness, they want to change all of society's view of what marriage means.
Unfortunately, in the world...
I don't think that the Supreme Court's going to uphold gay marriage, personally, by what I see. Do you? By what I hear them saying?
No, I think that you can't tell, because common sense seems to be lacking not only in this theater, but also in the theater in Washington. There is no common sense left in the world today. That's what it seems like to me. With everything.
Well, but the questions that the Supremes are asking are commonsensical. And Scalia is asking, do you agree that ministers will not have to conduct same-sex marriages? Will a clergy have the rights to not do a marriage? Roberts says, the definition itself will no longer be operable. Roberts is the Supreme Court justice who gave us Obamacare. Listen to clip number 4.
Every definition that I looked up prior to about a dozen years ago defined marriage as unity between a man and a woman as husband and wife. Obviously, if you succeed, that core definition will no longer be operable.
So you can see by that Roberts is opposed to it, right?
Definitely.
So how is this going to come down? Let's run a scenario. The Supreme Court says gay marriage is not legal in 50 states. What happens next? Well, we have riots again. They burn Baltimore now.
I don't know.
I mean, is that what's going to happen? Is that America now? Unless you burn a city to the ground, you don't get what you want?
That's another thing that's no common sense at all.
Well, the only ones who don't seem to burn cities down and attack the police are the